I've learned just as much as my students from being with them. They've taught me more than I would have thought I've ever learned. One time we were going to this lake, and it was like a 4-mile hike, which was pretty easy for the kids. And like we all have in our jobs, in our companies, in our lives, we have leaders and we have different roles. So I assigned one of my students with a lot of energy, I assigned him to be a leader. I was like, you go lead the group when we get out there. That way you're out of the way, you're sort of walking, you're setting the pace, right? And it's like halfway through the hike, and I noticed that he's in the back. And I was like, well, what's he doing in the back? So I'm already in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to tell him to get to the front. Like I'm gonna have to like discipline him, or we're gonna go into like a little back and forth. But I get back there and I was like, hey, is everything okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, well, what are you doing in the back? And he's like, well, I wanted to be up front, but I can't encourage people from the front. Like if I'm in the front, I can't help people. So I decided to come to the back and like tell people like, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna make it, we're gonna be okay. And I was like, well, I'm the worst. I was like, I'm a terrible person, because in my mind, being a leader is just like being up front and just charging away and saying like, hey, this is how we're gonna do it, this is gonna set the pace. But in his mind, being a leader meant like, hey, being in the back and encouraging and pushing. And it really like, that moment like really stuck with me, not only in my like, in that school day, but in like my professional life and my like, my group life. Because now I just come back and I'm just like, yeah, you can like be in the back and encourage people. You don't always have to lead from the front. And so I even think about that now, and especially in like conservation stuff or in group settings. I'm always thinking like, well, I guess if you are a leader in an organization like UWP, and maybe you don't have the answers to a project, or maybe you're like, hey, I don't know what project we're gonna do. I don't know what this next year is gonna look like. I don't know how we're gonna have a fundraising thing. And then you can just, you can lead you can help out from the back. You can encourage and say, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. I'm just here to support however you can.